Magi chapter 193. The greatness with this chapter. This is what we needed because we've been having this battle with Father for some chapters now. But we got a huge revelation in this chapter, and overall this chapter just demolished it. It was freaking out of this world. First of all, not only the revelation that we got, but you see that Father is going even stronger. You know, Kome teleported a mountain on him, and that shit ain't do nothing. So that just clarifies that this is like a demigod right here. This guy is unstoppable, Father, at least for right now. Because you got all of them attacking him. You got Koha getting fucked up, Gyokuen getting fucked up. Their body is all shriveled, their flesh, they're just like demolished. Yo, this Father threat right now has just proven that he's no joke. He is taking people out one by one. But it also gets me a little bit worried because it's like we're diving very deep into the Altarman stuff. It's getting real deep now. And it's like, yo, is this approaching some sort of climax already? Because, you know, the whole big threat of this world is Altarman. And if we get rid of this, you know, threat, we start diving even further and further, then that just means that we're approaching an end because they're the big threat. I'd imagine that we have to, at some given point, have an even bigger threat than this Father, or Father won't be able to reach his complete form, because we learn in this chapter that, based off what Aladdin said from his memories from the Solomon's Wisdom, that this guy, this Father thing, doesn't look exactly like the one from Alma Toran when they had their battle back then in the past. I'd imagine that he might not reach his perfect form, and that'll make a break, because if not, then we're reaching the end, because this is the big one. And then we find out that Gyokuen is pretty much the traitor. She's pretty much, we find out in this chapter, like Judas to King Solomon. She pretty much betrayed him, just threw everything into chaos, and it seems as though she was responsible for the spark in war back in the old world in Alma Toran. And it's also safe to say that Altarman was derived from the word Alma Toran, basically where they used to live, the old world. If you look at the three Magis from King Solomon's past, if you look real closely at them, they kind of looked a little bit like Morgiana, Ali Baba, and Aladdin. Now, Morgiana and Ali Baba could be coincidence. It could be that maybe they're reincarnations, but not of King Solomon's doing or something like that. But they definitely kind of looked a little bit like them when you look at the past. And then, of course, you have the third one, which was Gyokuen, the traitor. And it makes you wonder, why did she betray King Solomon? Was it like some black root somehow got into her and corrupted her? What was her purpose for betraying him? Did she just want to be, you know, bad? It makes you really question that, because we find out, you know, basically that she was a traitor. And we also find out in this chapter that King Solomon had 72 servants, and if you look at them closely, some of them are basically the jinns that we've seen in the past, like Paimon, Amon. So it's safe to say that he turned his servants, and that means that there's 72 jinn in total, into the jinn. Crazy shit. King Solomon wanted to preserve his people, and he did it by turning them into different things, different reincarnations. And this chapter kind of reveals Aladdin, he might be his age, but he's way older than we think. Because if he was created in the old world, Alma Toran, then he has to be like, what? I don't even know how old the old world is. And it seems as though King Solomon created him, and they keep calling him the proxy that King Solomon created. I imagine King Solomon created him and put his qualities that he wanted in him. And I'd imagine whenever we do get a flashback of him creating Aladdin, whichever way he did it, Aladdin took the quality, maybe it was just a joking thing, he just wanted some of his own little fun personalities into him, because, you know, all the little perverted shit that Aladdin does, how he loves women's tits and shit like that, that's probably from King Solomon. And I bet you anything, whenever we see a flashback, it'll show that that was one of his qualities, and he was just like, well, you know, I want him to be a manly man or something like that. I bet you we'll get something like that. And it just really questions, yo, exactly what really is Aladdin? Is he actually really human? If he was created, he was this proxy created by King Solomon. And how old really is he if he was from the old world, Alma Toran? It seems as though King Solomon created him, put him to sleep, so pretty much like his body didn't age or anything. And then when the time came, you know, when the time was right, pretty much he probably had Ugo wake him up and then send him out into the world where what it is now. And that's possibly how Aladdin is old as hell, but didn't age, and he's just like a little boy. He probably was like frozen in time, his body, until he got to this timeline where King Solomon probably foreseen the Altarman threat coming back and starting shit up again. Just overall, the revelations that we got in this chapter are freaking amazing. This is something I've been wanting to know. Why is Gyokuen so evil? And we finally got that she was the traitor, and she was one of the three Magis of the past with King Solomon. And it's really bringing things closer to, like, yo, we might be reaching a climax. I hope not, because there's still a lot of things to be explained, but if, like, Cinderia comes and shows up, and at some given point Morgiana, then you definitely know that things are, you know, approaching the end. Because right now I think we need for this father threat not to reach that form that Aladdin remembers from his past. We need him not to get there, so that way things can keep on going. But overall, this chapter, the revelations, the things that pretty much we found out in this chapter really just broaden everything. And we got carnage, we got people getting fucked up and everything. This chapter, too good. I'm giving this one a perfect 10 out of 10 because it gave you everything. It builded upon the world. It builded upon revelations. It gave you action. It gave you everything. It built up the threat even further. 10 out of 10 chapter from me. What do you guys think, though? Are Morgiana and Alibaba possibly reincarnations of the other two Magis, except they didn't become Magis, they just became regular people? Also, why did Gyokuen betray King Solomon in the past? Was she corrupted by the first spark of black root, possibly? And just how old is Aladdin? Because right now, it seems as though he might be very old, but he still was like a boy, so like his body stood frozen in time and frozen animation, so that way he didn't become older. And just your overall thoughts of the greatness of Magi, chapter 193. That's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up for the craziness of this chapter. Great shit. Loved it. Amazing. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.